Then they locked me away. With nowhere to hide from the pain. To get out. I'm gonna escape from here.
There's armed guards everywhere. And if Blue finds out, we're dead. We're already dead.
You're afraid, don't be. To reach your own paradise. Just let go. What you're imagining right now, you control this world.
What are you looking for?
A way out.
I'm going to help you to be free. You will need to find 5 items. The first is a map. Then fire. Then a knife. And a key. The 5th thing is a mystery. Begin your journey. It will set you free.
That movie was indeed Sucker Punch. Directed by Zack Snyder, it gives us many, or he gives us many great movies, like 300, epic superhero movie Watchmen, and even Dawn of the Dead, you know, the zombies. But can this director's amazing streak provide a great film with his new movie Sucker Punch? His first film not based on pre-existing ideas. In a word, no. A huge failure in this action fantasy epic. It looks beautiful and it's hard to follow and very disappointing. In this movie there are 3 different realities, but all in all it was just disorganized and messy. Emily Browning leads a cast of butt-kicking babes as Baby Doll, a girl forced into an asylum against her will. Once there she decides she doesn't like it, so she escapes into her imagination, followed by fellow inmates Sweet Pea, played by Abby Cornish, Rocket, played by Jenna Malone, I'm sorry, Blondie, played by Vanessa Hudgens, and Amber, played by Jamie Chung. You're making me trip, dude. In the first world, they land in a studio and dance to stay alive. In the second, they land in an all-out punk world that have guns, dragons, samurais, and robots. Yeah, I warned you. Like every nerd's fantasy, the film relies only on its amazing visuals, stunts, CGI, and bat-crazy ideas. But that's not it, as it lacks a story and appealing characters. Stoner, you're tripping out, dude. They never really seem in danger. Emily Browning doesn't help matters because she used some pretty stale acting. And Carla Gugino's portrayal of Madame Gorsky is laughable with that horrid Russian accent. The movie's only real silver lining is probably the villain, Oscar Isaac, as Blue, the mastermind running the asylum, and Man Man's John Hamm shows up way too briefly as the mysterious high roller who's coming for Baby Doll. Much of Snyder's movie essence is seen throughout the film, including music video-like sequences that use songs which are way too cliche and obvious. Remember, this is not a terrible film, but sometimes it just gets too close. With no story, Enrique, stop, man, you're freaking me out. With no story, no immediate danger, and laughable acting, it was pretty dumb. Even with all the amazing visuals, this is only going to get a shrug of whatever from audiences. And that's only if they stuck around to watch the whole thing. That's how bad it was. This movie deserves a 2 out of 5 for suckers only.
You know how they say that we can only access 20% of our brain? Well, this lets you access all of it.
What would you do?
No one man should have all that power. The clock's ticking, I just count the hours. Stop tripping.
How many of us ever know what it is to become the perfect version of ourselves? Be 50 moves ahead of you.
Limitless! A movie pretty much about drugs for your brain. It circles around a particular drug known as NZT. It allows the user to expand the use of his or her brain power because we've all heard that the average person can only use 10 or 20% of their brain. And with this little pill will grant the ability to use all of it. The film stars Eddie Mora, played by Bradley Cooper, from The Hangover, an inspiring author with the most dreaded of fears, writer's block. But after discovering this miracle drug, Eddie's world is turned upside down, and he becomes the smartest man in the world. So what does he do with that power, you may ask? He makes some money. Eddie Morrow goes from being a total loser with the weight of the world on his shoulders to the man who single-handedly took over Wall Street. Unfortunately, a film isn't good unless it has conflict, and Eddie meets his as Robert De Niro's Wall Street tycoon, Carl Van Loon, who's not actually all that loony, but does have a great speech about how Eddie hasn't had to climb the ladder to get where he is. For the most part, however, De Niro is just kind of there as he's playing second fiddle to Cooper. Luckily, the younger actor is actually pretty great as the schizo Eddie who swings out from burnt-out, drug-addled loser to Renaissance Marlboro man, the way some of us flip on a switch. The movie sets up some interesting questions and never really answers as it slowly turns into a thriller in its final parts, where Eddie is accused of murder, pursued by a Russian mobster who also takes NZT and must work out some plan for a merge on his business. This is kind of where it starts losing you. Oh, and I almost forgot. If NZT turns out to be very dangerous, if you stop taking it, you die, basically. Who knew, right? I mean, a drug that practically grants you Jedi powers and it has side effects? I'm sure no one saw that coming. Sorely undeserved is Abby Cornish as Eddie's girlfriend, who kind of shows up here and there to remind us how screwed up Eddie is, and then how much he's cleaned up his act. She does, however, get to play a fairly ridiculous scene involving a deadly pursuer, a little girl, and a pair of ice skates. You need to see it to really understand what's going down. And yet, Limitless remains largely entertaining, as it comes outlandish. So what if Eddie doesn't put his brain power to brokering peace in the Middle East, or solving the problem of world hunger? He's more interested in making cash and getting chicks. Perhaps that's one of the points of the movie. With great power comes great responsibility to yourself. Eddie may be the smartest man in the world, but he's still, after all, just a man. 3 stars of 5 for Cooper's latest box office champ. Alright, so that's it. Gotta go do stuff, gotta go help my buddy, take him to the hospital. Peace.
This has been a Studios production.